Hello everyone. In the previous video, we discussed some new physical quantities that are distance traveled and displacement. So this video is regarding more explanation on the same topic, that is distance traveled and displacement. Let us have a look at what makes them different from each other. When you hear both of the words, they almost seem same, but they are not. Let us have a look at that. So I'm taking here case 1 where you have a rectangular football court, that is PQRS, and there is a player standing at P, is about to move from there. So the player runs from P to Q. So what do you understand from this is the distance traveled or the actual path covered by the person from P to Q is 400 meter. This we will call as distance traveled. Whereas when we talk about the displacement, it is more about the straight distance or the shortest distance between the initial point that you can see here, the initial point, just a minute, the initial point as P here and the final point Q. So the direct distance between them, the shortest distance between them is called as displacement. So we can say that in this case, the distance traveled between P and Q is 400 and the displacement is also 400. Well, let us talk about another case. Case 2. Here, the player goes from P to Q and then from Q to R. Now, if you talk about the distance traveled, it is from P to Q 400, then Q to R is 300, a total of 700. But the shortest distance, if you are talking about, the shortest distance is between P and R, the direct distance. That, if we calculate by Pythagoras theorem, we will get it as 500 meters. See, have a look at this triangular area, that is P, Q and R. You will see a triangle, probably a right angle triangle, that is being a 90 degree at Q. Then by applying Pythagoras theorem, you can understand the length of the hypotenuse being 500 meters. So now, in this case, if you talk about the distance traveled, it is 400 plus 300, that is 700. Whereas the displacement is the direct distance between P and R, that is 500. Let us go for one more case. This time, the player runs from P to Q and from Q to R and from R to S. So the starting point being P, it travels to Q, that is 400 plus 300, that is 700 plus 400, that is 1100 meters he covers. But what we will be looking at is the difference between distance traveled and displacement. So this blue arrow that you can see right now, this whole area, that is whole length that he has covered is 1100, but the shortest distance between the initial point P and the ending point or the final point S, that is only 300 meters. So though the distance traveled is 1100, the displacement in this case is only 300. So last but not the least, I am going for case 4, which is a little special case. Let us see now. The player starts from P, moves to Q, then Q to R, from R to S, and all the way S back to P. In this case, we covers about 400 plus 300 plus 400 plus 300, altogether 1400 or 1400 meters. But what will be the distance between the initial point P and the final point P? You know, that is 0, because the point P is itself the starting point and the ending point. Hence, there is no distance between the initial and final point. So the displacement remains 0. I hope by looking at these 4 cases of this example, we come to know that distance traveled and displacement are totally 2 different types of units, physical quantities. And we will talk about detail about one of them being scalar and another one being vector in another video. That's for another day. Thank you.